Hello and welcome to Council Wrap. I'm Wes Decker, and boy, it's been a while since I've done a Council Wrap, so hopefully I'm not too far out of practice. Here to help me get through all of this is Emily Conrad, who is the Economic Development Coordinator. And since the last time I saw you, we've never had you on Council Wrap, so it's a pleasure to have you on this evening. But at the same time, can you talk a little bit about the organizational changes within the department where you work? I know it's nothing necessarily drastic, but what are the changes maybe that people should be aware of in addition to just the name of the department itself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Wes. So we've recently undergone a reorganization of what was formerly the Department of Community and Economic Development. And our city administrator had the wisdom to kind of separate the community development side and put it with other housing resources. So now there's going to be the Department of Housing and Community Development, under which will be all of our community development grant programs that include CDBG money, as well as the code and inspections type of functions of the city. Yeah. Anything that has to do with housing and getting assistance for housing, so any emergency repair grants that may have been pass-through money down to the city to help our residents is going to be in that department. Then on the side that I'm in is economic development, is joining forces with planning and zoning. So we will be the Department of Planning and Economic Development, with Kathy Mayer having retired. Our current director, Jill Thompson, is at the helm of this new department, DPED, DPED for short, if you will. So we'll be helping everything from on the business side. So if you're looking to start a business in Hagerstown, or if you're looking for site selection, growing a business, taking a vacant property or an existing property and putting forth new planned proposals, have any questions about zoning, we'll all be together to help assist with that, as well as grant funding for businesses as well.
And I think on the surface, that makes a lot more sense for people who are looking for those resources to go to one particular place to find them all there. Now, for old guys like me, it's tough to get used to because it was the Department of Community and Economic Development, and that's how I've known it the entire time I've been here. So I'm still getting that through this thick skull. But I always say that, you get to do a lot of the fun things, the grand openings and things of that nature. So what is it about your job that you enjoy the most?
I agree. My job is very fun. I feel very blessed that I have one of the funnest jobs in the city. I get to work with businesses that are opening in the city of Hagerstown and work with them on coordinating a grand opening, which is a free service that the city of Hagerstown provides to any business opening or relocating, or maybe even reopening after you may have had a big renovation in city limits. So it could be downtown, it could be on the outskirts of that city limit, and we invite out local elected officials from city, county, state, federal government. We create some marketing materials for those businesses, and we put some marketing money out of our budget behind that too. So it's kind of like rolling out the red carpet to new businesses. We also like to honor anniversaries. So if there's a business that's hitting their 10, 20, 30. We even have one coming up in September, Triad Engineering celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, so it's really great to be able to celebrate those success stories and also create a path for success for new ventures in the city as well.
Yeah, and what's really cool about that is, as you said, it's no money out of the pocket of that business themselves, yet it's a lot of added value for them in terms of the publicity that goes along with it.
Absolutely. It's just another great reason to make Hagerstown the home for a new business.
So let's talk about the project that you were in front of Mayor and Council earlier this afternoon, presenting to them. And this is one where, this has a lot of ramifications to it. We're talking about a plan to chart the course for the next 10 years for downtown Hagerstown. So first, let's start, maybe you can give us a little background on how we got here, as you understand it. I know during the meeting you talked about the previous 10-year plan a little bit, and working with the same consultants who helped forge the way for Hagerstown with that one. But talk about how this one is different and where we are in the process right now.
Sure. So I believe back in 2013, the elected body at the time made a decision to make a plan for the next 10 years. So the city put that job for the consultants out for bid. We were looking nationwide for a consulting company to come in and give that outside perspective, but also that experience in the industry. And there's different parts of that, including, most importantly, getting community input, also doing market analysis, and then ultimately developing what they call catalyst projects, which are essentially goals for the city to focus on achieving over the next decade. So from 2014 to 2024, I believe there were 8 catalyst projects, and my boss Jill did a presentation a few months ago recapping what those catalyst projects were and how we hit them, or those that did not get hit. So the company that won the bid was Urban Partners.
Urban Partners out of Philadelphia.
Out of Philadelphia in 2014. And we had many companies put it out for bid again this time around, and they were selected. And they bring not only their expertise, but their experience working with the city of Hagerstown in the past. This time around, they've also brought on an additional company to assist with the urban planning side of it. It's a company called MKSK based out of Atlanta. So we have Philadelphia, Atlanta, all coming to the table here in Hagerstown to look ahead for the next 10 years. And right now, we're at the part where we're getting community feedback.
Okay. Give me a little insight, because I know there are going to be people, because this happened when we went through the rebranding years ago. They said, why are you spending your money with a company out of Ohio to determine what we're going to do here in Hagerstown, Maryland? So tell me why this is beneficial. I knew why that was beneficial and could explain it to people, but why is it beneficial to get eyes from outside of Hagerstown, perhaps? And of course, as you mentioned, Urban Partners has the familiarity with Hagerstown in terms of being part of the previous 10-year plan. But then, as you said, you've got Philadelphia, you've got Atlanta. Why is this beneficial to the people of Hagerstown?
Yeah, it's a great question. So these types of businesses are working with cities all over the country. So they have seen what's going on and what has worked and what has not worked in other cities, big and small, medium-sized cities all across America. So they're able to bring that experience to the table that we may not have exposure to, just focusing on the details of running Hagerstown to the best of our ability every day.
And that's a great point, too, the word you used, focus, because we get hyper-focused on what's happening here, and sometimes because we are that focused on that, we can't see it from a different perspective. So having those fresh eyes on things, I think sometimes is much more beneficial than many people believe, because we get very territorial about things. It's like, well, why can't we figure this out for ourselves? Well, I think we do that to the best of our ability, but with something like this, I think you want all perspectives that you can possibly get. That brings me to the survey, and that's exactly what you want. You want as many people to respond to this survey as possible, those who will affect downtown Hagerstown in years to come through their answers in the survey, but then those who will be living in this area, young and old, as we heard in the council meeting. So take me through that a little bit, talk a little bit about the survey and how people can weigh in terms of that survey.
Yeah, absolutely. So Urban Partners and MKSK have developed this survey and a host website. They've kind of branded this project My Downtown Hagerstown.
Yeah, that's right. So
the website you can go to take the survey and to learn more about the project is mydowntownhagerstown.com. We've used social media to send this survey out. It's asking questions such as what's working in Hagerstown, what's not working. What would you like to see happen? Are there any types of housing that we're missing? Are there any type of transportation or physical ability barriers in the structure of the city that need to be addressed? They have an interactive map, so you can put, one of the questions is to put on the map where you love to go. Like, where do you like to spend your time? What's your favorite thing to do downtown? There's another interactive map portion that's saying, where's a problem area? Where do we need to focus? And what makes you say that? Specifically looking for details of what needs to be addressed. And it's so important to get different perspectives. So that is why we want to encourage everyone watching today or listening today to go to mydowntownhagerstown.com, take that survey. If you've already taken the survey and you know someone who hasn't, send them the link. If you hear someone complaining about a problem, send them the link, because this is the time to be heard. If you have great things to say or if you have suggestions, we want to hear it all.
About how long does it take to get through the survey? Do you have a sense
I'd
of that?
say about 3 minutes.
Okay.
3 to 5 minutes, depending on how much time you want to put into your answer.
So investing 3 to 5 minutes to have some impact on the next 10 years seems like a pretty good trade-off to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is no reason not to take that survey. We talked a little bit in the council meeting earlier in bringing mayor and council up to date on where we are in all of this about some of the stakeholder roundtables. Yeah, give me some idea of what's still to come in that process and sort of where you've been to this point in time.
Sure. So we had one in-person stakeholder meeting, and that was the same day that we had the community open house hosted at the library. I believe it was June 26th. That one was for downtown businesses. They all came together here in council chambers. The consultants were in town, and they kind of went around, did introductions, and asked a few questions. I think there's like 4 conversation starter questions. And then for the other roundtable discussions, we identified some different focus groups. So we're looking at, for example, today was the first virtual one. It was the community development side. So those were our nonprofits were invited in the community, in and around the community. Pretty much anyone that would have impact on people who live, work, travel through Hagerstown that we have a connection with.
Okay.
There are other, I'm going to go to my notes here so we can list all of them because there's 9.
Yeah, I saw that. It's pretty impressive, actually, in terms of really breaking down those groups and trying to, receive information based on those. We've talked about the different perspectives, but you certainly get what you would think would be a certain collective perspective from each, but you're also going to get individual voices within those groups. So that has, in the end, that has to be pretty beneficial. So yeah, go ahead and go through your list there.
Sure. We also, today we did the Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Education group. So that one was really valuable to hear. Tomorrow is going to be the Commercial Real Estate group and the Young Professionals / Youth group. So that includes our youth council, past and present, as well as the Chamber's Gen Next group, which is young professionals age 39 and younger. Now, just looking ahead, if you go to mydowntownhagerstown.com, there is a portion that says if you want to be part of this roundtable discussion, you can shoot us an email and ask us to join it, and we'd be happy to send you the link and have your voice. So other ones coming up this week, we have Economic Development Partners, and then next week we have the Housing Real Estate. We have our boards and commissions, so those are a lot of the service-based that get into the minutia of everyday government. And then we have a large employers list on July 24th, and then our city staff directors also on July 24th. So if you don't feel like you fall into one of those categories, take the survey.
Yeah, very simple, again, to be part of this and want as many people as possible to be part of it. Is there anything that you've heard, any of the responses maybe that you've heard so far that you're like, wow, that's something I hadn't thought of? I mean, has there been anything that's just sort of been real thought-provoking to you to this point in time?
Absolutely. Today, working with the community development group was very interesting because these are the people that are working with like nonprofits in our community and sometimes the people who have the greatest need in our community. So it's great to hear that perspective because they're the ones, a lot of times when we hear about city resources that are not city government functions, but they're community resources. These are people representing those groups. So to hear their feedback was really valuable. So like, for example, just talking about the needs for, shelters and also different services, things like that. One interesting thing that has come up in every group, but was also on the 10-year plan last time around, is having a hotel downtown. That one keeps coming up in every group. So that one's interesting as well.
Yeah, very much
Especially
so.
with the flying boxcars downtown now. That was not, having the stadium downtown was not part of the 10-year plan.
No.
It was just like an added benefit.
Yeah.
And everyone seems to say, that was great. The other thing that keeps coming up is the narrative, the perception. So people who actually are coming downtown regularly, working downtown, living downtown, generally have positive experiences.
Yeah.
And people who are coming from out of state generally have positive experiences. Somehow there's some small fraction of people who have sworn off coming downtown because they have a perception of fear. That is a narrative that comes up. And honestly, if you live in fear, you're missing out. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It's almost become generational in a way because it starts within a family that, hey, I'm not going to go downtown. And then it just keeps getting passed down generation to generation. And like you said, I mean, for this younger group, you hope that maybe some of those kids perhaps go to Barbara Ingram or, they're down here for something where it's not just to come downtown, but for another reason. And they experience, that there aren't issues downtown or those that have been blown out of proportion by the perspective of others. So, yeah, hopefully, we can straighten all of that out at some point in time. It's not an easy proposition, we know that, but we'll continue to work on it. As we wrap up here, so what's the timeline on this for people who want to follow it? Certainly, we again encourage them to take the survey, but as we move through this process, what is our timeline to what you might call the finish line for this?
Sure. So we started working with these partners in April. They plan to continue the community feedback through August. There's not a hard stop date, so I'd say get in there and get that survey done as soon as possible. If you have a phone or a computer, you can submit one survey per IP address. So be sure to share it with your friends, neighbors, family members. And then we're looking at November, December to kind of be wrapping up and be ready to move on to the presentation. And then hopefully the mayor and council will see fit to adopt the 10-year plan, and we will have a roadmap ahead for the future.
I'll tell you what, it's exciting. I mean, thinking about the next 10 years and gathering all the input and then seeing how you kind of mix up all those ingredients and what those catalyst projects are going to be and so on and so forth. So
it is exciting.
It is.
I have a little one on the way, so to think that this child will be finishing up elementary school when the next time a 10-year plan rolls around is really significant. So that's why it's also so important to get that youth perspective. The kids who are, like Councilmember Anderson said today, the kids who are in high school now are going to be in their 20s by the time this wraps up, knocking on 30's door, as we say.
Wow.
So,
wow, boy, you're really rushing things.
Well, 10 years goes by fast.
Yeah, you're right
if you
about
don't
that.
have a plan, you're kind of spinning your wheels, and I think it's great that the city is thinking ahead and making progress for the future.
Yeah, and not just the city, but again, gathering the input from everyone else. The city might be at the forefront of getting us there, but we're not doing it without you. So again, be part of this, take the survey. Emily, thank you very much for sticking around and talking about this evening. Thanks to all of you for watching, and again, be part of this. I mean, this is your opportunity to affect the next 10 years in the city of Hagerstown, specifically downtown. For now, that is a wrap. I look forward to seeing you next time on Council Wrap.